Hold on one second there, Grae. Let me get you off mute. There you go. How you doing today, Grae?
I'm doing fine. I'm
Am I
doing fine,
pronouncing that right?
Deon.
Is it Grae?
Yeah,
Grae
that's right.
J.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
great
just
J
making
Wall.
sure. Just
That's
making
me.
sure. Let me get you on camera here. And then you can talk to me about what you got going on. I've been having so much fun interviewing everybody. It's been great.
I was just listening to your chat with Dory. That was really interesting. It
Yeah,
was
I'm sorry I
yeah,
lost her
yeah.
so abruptly right there at the end. She was giving her the places you can find her book, which is on her website, and she was giving the socials right before she got cut off there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, she sounded really cool.
No, sweetheart,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Has a lot going on.
Yeah. So this is amazing. So you've been on air now for 24 hours straight.
Straight,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, and I got a bunch more to go.
That's just great. So how are you keeping awake? What's the trick?
To be honest, there's no trick. I don't drink coffee, and I'm not on cocaine or anything like that.
Hey, I
throw it out there because it could be, it's one of the things that people think he's got to be doing something. No, I do smoke weed. I will admit that, and so I smoke a little weed, and that doesn't help me with staying awake at all. It actually does the opposite.
The opposite.
But no, you know what it is? It's the excitement of doing it. To be honest, it's the excitement of doing it. It's the excitement of meeting new people. I haven't met you before, so this will be my actual first time talking to you. Some of the people that they've done this when I've done it before, because this is the 6th or 7th time I've done this.
Okay.
So some people I've interviewed before, and some I'm meeting for the first time. So the excitement of doing it is one. And another trick are power naps. Sometimes, like, I have a DJ that comes in and he'll play music, and I'll just take a 10-minute power nap or something like that, or 20-minute power nap. Other than that, I'm doing it. It's not a trick. It's not a magic trick. I'm actually doing what I'm telling you I'm doing.
You're just hyped up on life.
I'm just hyped up. Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Fantastic.
And when I get breaks, I get time to promote the stuff that I want to promote as well. I can, and then with a tight schedule, like I'm interviewing somebody every hour, I really don't get time to have that downtime to where I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I'm tired now. Let me go. With keeping busy, you really can't do it. And the power naps help a lot too. That keeps me from hallucinating and stuff like that. So. I think once I get around the 70th hour, that's when I get a little loopy and start having, you can tell I'm having fun, and then that's why I ended around 80, because you can see it happening. You can probably see a little bit now if you saw me from when I started versus now. You can see I'm dragging a little bit, especially in the evenings. I'll be dragging, but I'm doing great right now.
Yeah, well, you look pretty awake to me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's morning, so it's normal. You wake up and go. So, but
that's so. What time is it over there?
Right now it's 12 a.m. So 11 in the morning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're all the way on the other side, so I'm gonna guess it's like 7 p.m. for you right now.
Yeah, that's right. Just coming up to 7:15.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm speaking to you from St Albans in the UK.
Right.
Okay. On a sort of grey, cloudy day.
Yeah.
Probably a little chillier than it is over there in LA, I think. But
for sure.
Yeah.
So what kind of music are you? What genre of music do you guys make? I heard it, but I couldn't really place it in a genre. It's more like a.
Well, I play in 2 different bands, but chatting about Skull Puppets. So Skull
Puppets is the one I know. Yes.
Yeah. So they. I mean, it's kind of garage punk. But with our own kind of sort of slightly arty twist on it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's it's hopefully a kind of it's a little bit poetic. I write poetry as well, so the lyrics are really important to me. Um, and we
Do you
can
do the
be
writing for both of your bands?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you're a
absolutely.
writer.
Yeah. And so some of it we write about issues, both both sort of world issues. So there'll be political stuff in there, but also very personal issues. I write a lot about I guess kind of dark stuff, but hopefully presented in a way that people people can still dance to. So we'll talk about all kinds of issues in there, from sort of the darker stuff, suicide
Right.
and depression and addiction and the sad fact that we don't have world peace
Yeah.
and all those kinds of things.
It's terrible.
But hopefully in a way that's kind of articulate and interesting and fun, and people can still jump up and down to it. So
Right.
yeah, that's kind of what we do.
And I've been interviewing a few artists here throughout this show so far, and one of the questions that I love to ask because it's most interesting to me is the process of making the music. What's your process of making the music when you go into the studio?
Okay. Well, look, it's so the nucleus of the idea tends to always start with me, and it'll normally start in the early hours of the morning. It tends to be when my brain kind of wakes up. So it's normally kind of 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Okay.
Something will hit me, and I'll go, oh, okay, I've got to jot that down,
Right.
and it's usually words come first, and then I'll pick up the guitar, and generally that'll kind of something organic will happen. There'll be the words will lend themselves to a particular kind of vibe that I'll go with, and I'll usually just kind of work that out on an acoustic guitar.
Gotcha.
And then the next thing is, obviously, on a regular basis, I'll get together with the other guys in the band. So with Skull Puppets, I've got Mary on drums, who's someone that I used to play with years ago in a band called the Young Trash Lovers, and then she kind of went off and had a daughter and did all that stuff, and she's sort of come back into the fold and is drumming again with us with Skull Puppets. And then there's a guy called Bruce on the bass, and Bruce and I were kind of young punks in a small village in Britain called Harpenden, which is just down the road from where I live now in St Albans. And we go back to when we were in our late teens, and he was playing in his bands and I was playing in mine. Anyway, we all got together. So I'm kind of going off on tangents.
No, it's okay. Totally okay. It's perfect.
I will come back to your question.
Got you.
But and actually it was so. I for 18 years I played in a cowpunk outfit called the Trailer Trash Orchestra, and our fiddle player sadly passed away a few years ago. He was also a great friend of Mary and Bruce, and so that band had sort of started falling apart, and when Andy died, that was the end of that band. It was and it was actually at his funeral that myself and Mary and Bruce were sitting down, looking out over these fields, and we decided to put this new band together. So it kind of comes from that
Gotcha.
place of sort of a darkness, but also a love for someone who's sadly passed along the way. And so that was how we got together. Anyway, so that's Mary and Bruce, and that's how the band kind of got together. So
Gotcha.
after I've got that nucleus of an idea that
Right.
I've worked out at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, I'll get together with the guys in a rehearsal room in a nearby town, and I'll come in with those little different ideas, those little nucleuses, and that's when the magic happens.
Gotcha.
I kind of throw it in there, and they find their own parts, and suddenly it comes from being this kind of lone voice in the wilderness into becoming something quite dynamic and exciting and everything else. As far as the recording process is concerned, we've been really lucky in the recordings we've done with Skull Puppets so far, that the people we've produced with have been really kind of interesting, active collaborators in how we end up sounding recording wise. So that our first single we recorded with a guy called Billy Lund. Some of your listeners may know that. So there's a band called the Subways who are sort of relatively well known, and Billy is the singer-songwriter with that band. And he produced our first single, which was a delight. And it was a sort of strange thing, because he's younger than us, but he'd actually kind of grown up coming along watching my bands when he was a kid.
Gotcha.
He's now a much bigger name than I am. It's huge, but it was a delight to go and kind of work with him, and he obviously really enjoyed it. He dug what we were doing. He got it, and so he recorded that first single, and he was just really open to ideas. So, for example, on that first single, there's a fade out vocal on the track, which you can't really hear what I'm saying, and that's kind of the point. It's like this, you have to stretch your ears, and it sounds like it's an old radio from the 1940s that's barely in tune, and it's kind of crackling in the background, and that was the kind of atmosphere we wanted, and that was the kind of thing that he brought to the production of that. So we kind of love that thing of going into the studio with people that will come up with cool ideas. And again, our second recording, we recorded it, our second batch of tunes, with a great friend called Hansi, who's more of a kind of dance DJ, but he's a lovely guy, and again a great friend. He recorded it. And then the guy who produced it is another friend of ours called Dave Morgan, and he's a drummer. But he's drummed again with some. I mean, in the past he drummed with Primal Scream and The Loft and some real big names. But again, he's just a really open to ideas. He'll sit there and listen and throw in cool ideas. And on one track he threw in this sound which is like a bell, like a church bell sound and stuff like this, and which is lovely, and sort of getting right up to date. We're just recording a mini album at the minute with a guy called Russ, who lives on a farm in the countryside, and again he's a guy that he'll kind of come up with all these interesting kind of weird lo-fi drum beats or sort of fizzy noises, kind of strange electronic noises, and we'll play with this stuff in the background, not like to the forefront of the track, but just as a kind of an undertow that you can barely hear underneath what's going on. And I love all that stuff. We call it the icing on the cake. You come in with a song that's pretty much fully formed, but in the studio you can put those little touches in there, those really interesting little bits and pieces, a little bit of backing vocal here, a little bit of harmonica there, and suddenly the whole thing kind of comes to life and becomes much more than you thought it could be.
Right.
So
it's funny. I've heard stories of people. They'll be in the studio. Song is pretty much complete. All they got to do is get in there and record it. But then they get in there and something happens, or somebody's humming a melody, and they're like, "We got to add that. We got to add that," and that gets added to it, and somehow that becomes the most important part of the song.
Absolutely that. Absolutely. We had, as I say, on this last recordings, I was sitting there and Russ was rewinding a track, and he had the speakers still up, so there was this guitar piece going backwards, and we looked at each other and we both were thinking exactly the same thing. We've got to keep that in.
It's amazing, right?
Because it just sounded so great. So then now that backwards guitar is become the start of a song. So
it's funny because some of those things you can't make happen. They just have to happen on the fly like that for it to catch, right? Exactly that.
And you have to be open to it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing. I think the thing with the studio, if I was, to offer advice to people, go in with that sense of openness to things.
I think generally speaking, as artists, especially musicians, I think they have that. That's a natural ability to go into the studio with the open mind and hear things. And then not only to hear something, but to hear it and hear the potential in it. Like, hey, that sounded good. That would be some people will hear it and was like, no, that's backwards. That's just not how it's supposed to go. That's wrong. If it's not forward,
Yeah.
So I think in musicians in general, that's why you get stories like that, and you get different sounds or different techniques, recording techniques, even that, because I'm pretty sure that if not you guys, I'm sure there's somebody who heard that sound and was like, oh, that was really cool. I wonder what this will sound like backwards. I wonder what this will sound like backwards. What if I played this key backwards? And now they're just, building all around it. So that's how it happens. It starts with a mistake, I will say. A mistake with quotations.
Totally that. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'm not a musician myself, but I've been in many studios, and I love the process of making music. It's always been something that's interesting to me, especially as a fan of music. When you think of your favorite songs, it would always be cool to be a fly on the wall in the studio when that music was being made, to see if they knew that even if it's just me, 20 years later, we'll still be listening to that song. Did they know that song was going to be heard in another country, let alone listened to centuries later? You know what I mean? Wonder stuff like that. So the whole process is beautiful to me. It's like watching a painter paint. I'm a huge Bob Ross fan, and it's a lot like watching a painter paint. But the difference is with a painter is, well, at least Bob Ross as an example, you can see the product coming together and the final product. With music, you don't really get that. You just get the finished album, and it's like, pushed. By the time it's finished is when you see it. You rarely get to, like, even with movies, you get to see behind the scenes, the making of. You don't really get that with music.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, there've been a few kind of, obviously, sort of documentaries that.
Even those usually follow the artist. Even those usually follow the artist and the life of the artist. There's not really much on the process of making music unless it's a producer who died or something like that. Is what I've noticed, at least.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
The ones I can think of that have been good. You almost remember them because there aren't many of them.
Right.
That do that. I remember as a kid I guess, what would I have been, maybe sort of 21. There was a documentary over here on British TV, and it was about when Elvis Costello went over to Nashville to record a country album.
Wow, okay.
And it was a fascinating documentary.
You remember the name of it by chance?
Oh.
No, okay.
I don't.
I'll search it while we're talking.
I tell you, I think it was part of a series called The South Bank Show. So if people want to look it up, I think if you look up Elvis Costello South Bank show Nashville or something, it might be on YouTube. I don't know, no idea. But it was that thing that, you know, at the time he'd come out of the British New Wave scene, and he was arriving in Nashville, and he was going into the studio with these really well respected country artists who were obviously sort of a little bit wary of him at first. Like, who is this guy? Who is this English guy arriving here,
right,
who thinks he understands our music? And then you could see, you know, he was sort of sitting down, and he was like, obviously it's his own songs, but also he would do like a Graham Parsons song or whatever. And you could see the musicians slowly kind of, oh, okay, we get this guy. This could be interesting. This could work out. And you could sort of see that process evolving a little bit, which is, yeah. There was one where you could see a little bit of that process in it, so it was quite cool.
Okay, well, I want to feed the skull puppets here to the listeners, so I'm going to play a track really quick that I got from YouTube called Hammer Man, and then we'll come back and talk more. I also play a couple of the tracks I see you play on the acoustic guitar here, and you got some songs, so I'll play some of that as well if you want.
Cool.
All right, we'll be right back. Keep it locked right here on Radio for the World. We are the first radio station to broadcast live audio and video to Facebook. Also, our main website, www.radiofortheworld.com, can also be found on YouTube, all the socials. You know where to find it.
That parchment you're clutching in your bony hand. There's a look of delusion on the face of the preacher man, riding down through the valley where the vultures fly. We all seek redemption. Day we die, and I said, have you come to save me from the swinging gate? Is it ever occurred to you that you just might be too late for the hammer man? Hammer man. There's a strange misforming at the base of the willow tree. I saw Jesus walking on the Sea of Galilee, and I called out for him, but he knew my play. He just kept on walking, left me by that sea, and I said, have you come to save me from the swinging gate? Is it ever occurred to you that you just might be too late for the hammer man? Hammer man. Well, I was left for naked. I washed up from the start.
Hammerman from the Skull Puppets. Really deep lyrics there. As you said, you really put a lot of time into your lyrics. It shows.
Thanks, man.
Definitely shows. I could almost follow the story. You know what I mean? I could definitely tell the story.
Cool.
So tell me more about this music that you have here where you're acoustic. Is this solo projects that you're working out, or are you just doing stuff to stay busy?
I've kind of always had two bands on the go at the same time. One kind of electric like Skull Puppets and one more acoustic.
Got you.
And it's basically because as a writer, I write, some songs lend themselves much more to that kind of style, like the rockier thing. But other songs I write are much more maybe in the kind of fit more into what you would an acoustic style.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a little bit folky or a little bit whatever. I mean, they tend to still have an edge to them, but
right. Wait, let me ask you something about that. Is it the edginess in the lyrics that decides that, or is it the tone or melody that you recorded in? What decides that for you? Because I've heard songs like a Michael Jackson song being turned into a rock song where you think, you don't really expect it to be able to.
Sure. Yeah, it's such a good question because I'm not sure I've ever analyzed it.
It's just a feeling myself. Then. It's more just a feeling, something that you hear and you say, hey, this is what I want for this.
I think it is. Certainly the instrumentation. So with the acoustic band, it's a double bass player rather than an electric bass.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a guy who plays mandolin and pedal steel guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So the instrumentation, I can sometimes when I'm creating a song, I can kind of hear that's going to lend itself to that kind of instrumentation.
Sure, but not dedicated to it. Not like
no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
There are songs which probably could go either way.
Right.
So I just make a call on it.
Okay. That's why I asked, because I was like, wait a second, what decides that for you then?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's the same. I mean, sometimes when I'm writing words, because I write poetry as well.
Right. I as well.
And all right, cool. And sometimes when I'm writing, even at the end of writing something on a page,
mm-hmm.
I'm still not entirely sure whether it's a poem or a song.
That's a good point.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
And there are pieces that I've kind of published as poems, which
mm-hmm.
I've also used as lyrics.
Yeah, I guess you could just format it different, right? You would just add a chorus to it, or what? How?
Yeah. I mean, it's about the inflection and how you deliver it sometimes. Right. And you might find that you need to add a syllable in or take one out.
Something out. Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of happens. So when you start, quite often when I start writing something on a page, I have no idea where it's going really, or where it's going to end up. But that's kind of the part of the fun of it, isn't it? Really, it
is. It really is the beauty of art, of making art, no matter the format.
Absolutely that. Yeah. Absolutely that.
So let me ask you this: when you're working and writing specifically, because I'm sure as an artist, when you're making music, you're working on multiples at the same time. But when you're writing, do you ever you can't finish something, so you put it aside and then come back to work on it later, or do you work on it until it's finished? How does your writing process go?
I tend to kind of work on it until I've got a working model,
mm-hmm.
but then I might but then that may well evolve as I start performing it and I start playing with it.
Okay.
So the first time I play a song, if you listen to it again a year later, I may well have changed stuff in it.
Yeah. Okay.
That does happen. So you just sort of And occasionally, I've even like added a whole extra verse to something
really?
because it's just you just like at some completely random time you just
Right.
say, oh, hang on a minute, I think I could add.
I got more to say about this subject that I was working on. Yeah,
exactly that.
Okay.
Exactly that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this has been a great interview. I've been saying this with every interview, and I truly mean it. I hope I don't get repetitive saying it, but every interview has been great so far. Like, I've had a lot of fun. You guys not only are you keeping me awake, but it's exciting I can't think of any of the interviews that I've had so far that was boring. Everybody has been giving great answers. Been really, I'm so hyped. I appreciate your time doing this.
It's a complete pleasure for me. I mean, I only have to stay awake for an hour. So.
True that. As soon as you're done, you're right off to whatever you want to do, or I'm to the next interview. Well, the good thing is I'm sorry to say good for me, but Precious Hall was the comedian I was going to be interviewing next, and I was really looking forward to it because she's hilarious, sweetheart, really nice girl. And comedian. I believe she's working in Texas right now, but she's from, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where she's from, but she was going to come tell us all of this great stuff about herself and her comedy, but she got a little sick and couldn't make it in. And I didn't really have enough time to replace her. So I'm just going to use it as a break. I got a 12 o'clock break coming up here in 15 minutes. So I'll take a little break, maybe eat something, take a quick hot shower, because it's going to be, or cold shower, because it's going to be really hot today.
Okay.
So that's what the plan is for the next hour. So shout out to Precious Hall. Even though she's not here, still go check out her Instagram. Follow her on Instagram and her social medias because she is hilarious. But again, thanks to you, Grae, for showing up and representing for the Skull Puppets. I'm going to play a couple more of your songs here if you want to let me know which ones. Good Riddance, I heard already, but I will play it again.
I tell you what, there's a new acoustic song which is called the oh lordy, what's it called? I'm having one of those moments.
It happens.
But it's if you go, I'm trying to think. I'm
on your YouTube now. Is it there?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I had a new acoustic song out literally just a month or so ago, and you know what? The word it's gone from my head completely. Oh Lord. Anyway, look, play any of them. Steeples in the Rain is a nice one if you can find that. That's that's the acoustic band.
Okay. Let's see here. You said Steeples
in the Rain.
Steeples in the Rain. Oh, I got a big bug, something in my throat. But all right, here we go. I'll play
They lost everything when the floods came suddenly. Somehow they rise, but it still look heavenly. We can turn the page, make a joke, something precious about that hope. There's times when I wish I could feel something like that. Sometimes in cities, I'll go find the cathedral, talk to someone I do not believe in. When I got some blues that I need to send, something timeless on which to depend. I guess we all need an imaginary friend sometime. And he can't solve too much with Chardonnay and tissues. Well, the fellas, they got males, and the girls, they got issues. And you wouldn't believe just how much I miss you when I'm staring at the steeples in the rain. And I hate to see it, your eyes get all misty, and Adam's rib gets all knotted and twisted. 'Cause your sister's got problems of her own. 'Cause a home is a house, but a house ain't a home. I guess that'll be her now on the phone again. And I don't think salvation lies in yoga and sandals. We're searching for reasons in 56 channels, when there's something so obvious in front of our eyes. There's no home truths in our governance lies. We all feel betrayed by our compromise and weakness. And you can't solve too much with Chardonnay and tissues. Well, the fellas, they got males, and the girls, they got issues. And you wouldn't believe just how much I miss you when I'm staring at the steeples in the rain. And I say, hold me like an angel of mercy, sweet darling. Here I come, here I come, here I come. Hold me like an angel of mercy, oh sweet darling. Here I come, here I come, here I come. Hold me like an angel of mercy, oh sweet darling. Here I come, here I come, here I come. Hold me like an angel of mercy, oh sweet darling. Here I come, here I come, here I come. Hey, 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 hey. So I said, hold me like an angel of mercy, oh sweet darling. Here I come, here I come, here I
Yep, we're back. Radiofortheworld.com, www.radiofortheworld.com. Everything spelled out normal. www.radiofortheworld.com. And we're live. Grae J, thank you again for this interesting, informative, and great interview. I appreciate you.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
Likewise. I look forward to talking to you more and hearing more music. So whenever you got stuff to promote or you got new tracks that you want me to air, send your music over. It's great. It fits the format of our station, so we'll promote for you anytime. Absolutely free.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, mate. I
No
definitely
problem.
will. We'll give you a shout.
Nice. Thanks. I appreciate you again for your time, and talk to you again more soon.
All right.
All
Cheers
right.
now.
Thank you.